It is 1 o'clock. Welcome back in on this Reaction Monday. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly. It's been a active last 3 hours discussing Oklahoma's win over Auburn. A lot of questionable officiating in that football game. Alabama's getting ready for Georgia. We've got the SEC permanent opponents over the next 4 years. That's going to be announced tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, but it's already been leaked out who the opponents are going to be for Alabama and Auburn. No LSU for the next 4 years for Alabama, as they will play Mississippi State, Auburn, and Tennessee. Meanwhile, Auburn, no shakeup with what we've been talking about on this program over the last couple of weeks, who Auburn's going to play. It will be Georgia, Alabama, and Vanderbilt. Those will be the three permanent opponents. But Landrum, the breaking story today has to do with Bruce Pearl, as it appears that he is stepping down as the head coach at Auburn.
Yeah, for most, this one coming out of the blue, and indications, and this was coming from forums and different Auburn websites until it was confirmed by a couple of different entities, but ESPN, I believe, being one of the first, and now everybody is running with it. But yeah, Bruce Pearl, great career at Auburn. Auburn's winningest basketball coach, 2 Final Fours, and what he just meant to that program. And hopefully his son, Stephen Pearl, can continue that and build on what his dad has built and everything that's been instilled in him. Stephen Pearl has been groomed, from my understanding, for this since at least the last contract that Bruce Pearl signed, and that was the understanding. It was just not made public, but a lot of folks feel confident that Stephen Pearl will be able to continue that success. We'll have more on that not only today in the coming days, but right now it is time for the coach, Bill Clark, to talk about what happened, what didn't happen this weekend, and look ahead to Saturday. This is Coach Bill Clark, and he's presented by our friends at Donahue Chevrolet.
Coach Bill Clark on Three Man Front is brought to you by Donahue Chevrolet. Learn more at DonahueChevrolet.com. And now, Coach Bill Clark.
And Coach Clark joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Good morning or good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you guys?
We're doing okay, dealing with some breaking news. Bruce Pearl announcing his retirement, not officially from Bruce Pearl yet, but from all sources saying that this is going to be it for him, and what a great job he did. We're here to talk about football. Let's talk about the game that we've been talking about nonstop for the last 3 hours, and a lot of it for the wrong reasons, officiating in the Auburn-Oklahoma game. Coach, first of all, before we get into the officiating, your thoughts, 30,000-foot view, and what you saw from the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, first, what a really good game from both sides. Well, there's a lot of things to like about what Auburn did. I thought they answered, and in times, that's what you want to see. What do you do when you really, really need it? Obviously, they got backed up and had some penalties, and nobody want to win, but I thought they did answer. Their quarterback answered. Probably came down in that game. Maybe the other quarterback was a little bit better. Maybe the defense from Oklahoma was a little bit better, especially with Venables behind that. But I thought they showed very well. The defensive line was really pretty dominant. Obviously, the outside receiver, you just want to keep throwing it up to him. But just really, I thought it was a really good performance. Obviously, I know they're very disappointed.
All right, so in regards to that Oklahoma game, very interesting because we've been spending a great deal of time talking about the officiating. One play in particular that has got a lot of people really upset, and it's the hideout tactic, the touchdown by Oklahoma. And I bring this up because the play-by-play announcer for the Oklahoma Sooners, his name is Toby Rowland. He went to social media, and he says, according to his sources, in its regular pregame meeting with game officials, the Oklahoma staff brought up the planned play and sought confirmation it was legal. And, Coach, as we saw, they ran the play. There was no flag. But then after the game, the SEC came out and said that the officials did not make the proper call, or they did not throw the flag on that play. And so, obviously, the SEC gives us the impression that it was wrong. I want to ask you, when you were a coach, did you ever have that conversation in these pregame meetings with the officials in which you had to explain something that you guys were potentially going to do and to get their blessing beforehand?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of parts to this and what you talked about. First, I've talked to a number of coaches, specifically guys that have been in high school, and we've all dealt with that play. That was a play from way back especially, my dad's time, people ran the hideout play a lot. Of course, the old you forgot the T and all that stuff. I think the question is, did they make a point of emphasis that things like that were, maybe understood? But the bottom line is, as a defense, you got to look to the sideline. I'm not excusing a play, either way, it's based on what their rules are. I mean, and they would understand that. But as a defensive player, you got to find that outside official. And the fact that he's sitting over on the sideline, I'm looking for that receiver. Now, that was something it was a constant in high school because that was a play that we all had to deal with. So if they made it a point of emphasis, then that's on them as a conference. I think there's all these things that you talk about in that meeting. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've had times where I was scared to even tell a play because I was afraid it might somehow get to the opponent. But, you do. That is something they did, and if they obviously went over it, they felt good about running it.
As far as Oklahoma, Coach, defensively up front, what they have the defensive line, we had people from out in Norman that told us last week before Saturday that this was the best defensive front that they had in over 2 decades there at Oklahoma. What did you see from Oklahoma as far as their performance? How much of it was Auburn's offensive line and a lack of play at times, or was it a combination of both?
I think there's a number of things. One, I mean, and you got to take people at their word when they've looked at this a group, and that's high praise, right? So when they say that, you got to take them at their word. I think they did a really good job of the things that I would have done, muddy the middle. And I talked about this on the show a few weeks ago. What happens when you play a defense that says he is not going to run the ball? And that's what you saw. Now, give Jackson Arnold credit. He still found times, especially when they would drop in a zone, rush 4, and the Mike linebacker would get out of there in some form of Tampa defense. He took off when he could. But what they did, they clouded the middle. They put people in the middle. I think the D-line was really good. I do think the quarterback holds the ball just a hair. And, I mean, when you're training him, don't make a bad play. Maybe that's, you'd rather have a sack than an interception. So some of that, I think he held it some. Some of it, you got to give them credit. I think the D-line was really good. And of course, always O-line's got to factor in.
In regards to Auburn moving forward, and we're trying to get past what happened over the weekend because, Coach, they got another big one coming up this weekend. On the road, playing a team that just knocked off Notre Dame in South Bend, and they're coming off a bye. Just how do you prepare as a coach after putting something in a rearview mirror that is still extremely painful, and then you've got another top 15 opponent coming up?
It's terrible and it's great. I mean, when you have a really good opponent like that, you have to turn the page. Now, it's hard for the fans, but as a coach, as soon as that one's over, win, lose, or draw, you're only moving to the next one, but you're forced to, especially after a tough loss like that. And sometimes it's the very best thing to happen to a team. You've got to dig in. The players can turn the film on. They know who they're playing. They know it's next. And really that's the thing when you build a program the right way. You are talking about this in January and February and March. Look, guys, we're going to Oklahoma, win, lose, or draw. Here comes Texas A&M. Now, do you want to win? Of course you do, but you better be ready. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You don't have time.
Georgia, a 3-point favorite as they host Alabama coming up this Saturday in Athens. Your thoughts, both teams off last week, but what you've seen through the first 3 games for each team leading into this matchup?
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have been more disappointed than the Alabama fans and their staff. And, we talked about that. To get to see them in person like I did week 2 against La Monroe and just see a totally different, what I could tell, mindset. I think you saw it again last week. I think they've got all the people, as we know. They've got the talent. Quarterback is playing exceptionally well. The lack of running game, if that's a real thing as we think it is, because what we've seen, and that's going to be a problem. Anything that makes them one-dimensional, and Georgia does such a good job of playing out of a too-high shell and stopping your run with that. So, the great game last year, the memory of that for Georgia, the number of times they've lost, obviously them finding a way to beat Tennessee. I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, it's the kind of game you want to see, especially with the open date. I love the fact that they're going to be healed up. Both teams should be healed up and ready to go.
In regards to what we saw with the Florida Gators taking on Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes, another impressive performance by the Miami Hurricanes, and unfortunately for Billy Napier, another loss. If you're the Florida Gators right now, and I know it's an off week, but Do you see him being able to turn this thing around? I know you're not involved in the Florida minutia every single day, but just from an outsider watching football, it seems like Lagway has gone the other direction, and there's just not a lot of confidence in this Gator program right now.
Yeah, well, that's exactly well said. I think that's the question: is why is their offense not better? I know he came, had an injury. Just really kind of shocking to me with the head coach being an offensive coach. You've got a quarterback who's talented coming back. I'm really not understanding. Now, I always got to say you got to give the defense credit. I was really impressed with Miami. They look like a complete team. Obviously, getting back like they did, him getting rehabbed up. I mean, I think defensively they look just a lot sounder. Just from what I watched last year, they just didn't look sound at times last year, and they looked like they really turned the corner. So give Miami credit. Really kind of shocked at Florida's offense right now.
He is Coach Bill Clark. You can catch the Bill Clark Show right here on Jocks every Thursday. You're going to get that at 6 p.m., but also every single Monday, Coach. And your visits here are made available by our friends at Donahue Chevrolet.
Yeah, we appreciate our friends at Donahue. They've got all kind of deals on DonahueChevrolet.com. Check them out. The car is really clean. The Tahoe I drive that I love is very clean. So before y'all ask me that, on my show,
that's right.
I'll let y'all know that.
Well, good. That's awesome, Coach, that you're doing that now. Really awesome.
Thank you.
DonahueChevrolet.com for more information. Coach, we always appreciate it. Should be a fun week.
Yeah, going to be a great week. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
You as well, Coach Bill Clark, joining us, courtesy of our friends at Donahue Chevrolet on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
All right, we're going to get back to your text messages, and we'll kind of regroup here, and because there's been so many things that we've been talking about over the last 3 hours and 12 minutes, including the latest breaking news: Bruce Pearl retiring as head coach of the Auburn Tigers. His son, Steven, expected to be named the next head coach for this upcoming season. Not to mention the fact we got an SEC schedule reveal tomorrow night. The blowback of the SEC officiating in the Auburn-Oklahoma game. We've got Hugh Freeze at the bottom of the hour. Keep it tuned right here at Jocks 3-Man Front. I know we haven't talked about the Canadian Football League since the Birmingham Barracudas was a member of the Canadian Football League back in the day. But I just saw this just a few minutes ago. So when you think of the Canadian Football League, like what immediately comes to your mind? Besides, it's really cold up there.
3 downs, goalposts, front of the end zones.
Okay. You're like me. That's the two things that jump out to me immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Commissioner Stuart Johnston of the Canadian Football League, he has just announced that over the next 2 seasons, in a phased approach, there will be some modifications to the Canadian Football League. The goalposts will be moved to the back of the end zone, and the field is going to be resized. Because if you watch a Canadian Football League game, you know they got a big old end zone.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going to move the goalposts back, and they're going to basically, it's going to look like a National Football League or a college football field. That's basically what they're doing. The Rouge will be modified, and adjustments will be introduced to ensure more consistent game flow.
Still not going to watch.
I'm kind of bummed about it, to be honest with you. Not that I'm a Canadian Football League aficionado.
No,
or
we
watch it
have
a lot, but
we have enough versions in this country of American football.
maybe the Canadian Football League and the UFL will merge.
Maybe so.
Is that a bad idea?
I thought you were about to tell me the officiating crew from Saturday's game.
They've been banished to Canada.
They've been sent to Canada to referee a lot of cold games.
I'll be honest, I thought you were going to say TJ Finley had signed with the CFL team.
Well,
the next thing that I think about is Johnny Manziel going to the CFL
He
for a brief
did,
time.
didn't he?
I
He
forgot
sure
about
did.
that.
I think it was Hamilton.
he was in
went and played
he was in the Alliance American Football.
I remember that.
He was in the Canadian Football League, and then he ended up in that video game league. Remember?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, where the fans got to call the plays for
Yeah.
the team or whatever that crap was. Yeah.
Johnny Manziel. That was 2018. Hamilton Tiger Cats, and then the Montreal Alouettes.
I did like going back to the Auburn-Oklahoma game. Did you see where after the game, one of the reporters asked John Mateer what the difference is between him and Johnny Manziel? And John Mateer's response was, "Well, I'm going to church tomorrow morning."
Yes.
That's a really good
That
answer.
was a great response.
That's a great answer.
Man, so no more goalposts at the front of the goal line. And keep in mind the field was, remember the midfield was 55-yard line.
I was about to say it's longer
Yeah.
than a normal field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you do it, but if you incorporated what you get in hockey with a football, I would
Like
be,
letting people fight.
I'd be more inclined to watch. Yeah, I
I'd
like
be cool
that.
with that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder
Instead
how
of kickoffs, have the face off.
Yeah,
I
okay,
like
I like
that.
that. Yeah.
so basically like the original XFL.
Yeah, or like they do.
Do you remember that? Do you know what they did?
No, what'd they do?
The original XFL, instead of coin toss, they put the ball on the 50-yard line, and they made a player from each team run to the center of the field to try to get the
That's
football.
awesome.
That's awesome.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can do that now because player safety.
Concussion protocols.
No, player safety, we're throwing all of that out. You have a 2-minute period in the second half where something that would take the place of a Zamboni comes out onto the playing surface while play is going on.
Yeah, it's Pat on his Artec tractor.
You
zero
have
turn
to
mower.
avoid the guy operating the large piece of equipment that's rolling down the field.
Okay, so how about this?
I like that.
So I didn't realize this, but I was telling you the back of the end zones are 20 yards. They're cutting them down to 15. So it's not going to be exactly like our version, which is 10-yard end zones.
But it'll look less awkward though,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Well, good for the CFL.
100-yard playing field, 15-yard end zones as opposed to the 20-yard. Never know. UFL. Birmingham Stallions might be playing the the Montreal Alouettes before you know it.
Well,
Is Protective Stadium, can we host a CFL game based on the end zones? Can we go an additional 5 feet? You roam the sidelines there almost every Saturday. Can we get a CFL game in there?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
Well, maybe so. You would have to move. I don't know. It'd be tight.
I'm trying to keep our options open.
I know. It'd be tight.
Okay.
We couldn't do it at the Met.
No.
Hoover Met's out.
Yeah.
So it would have to be Protective Stadium.
Yeah.
Or Legion Field.
Legion Field.
Well, Legion Field, there's probably plenty of room there. A lot of different things you could do there. How about our friends at Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones are not. You make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. It's really simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. You download the app today. Use code WJOX to get $50 in lineups after that first $5 lineup. That's code WJOX. Get $50 in bonus lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't have to win to get the $50 bonus. Tonight, we are going professional football. They play games on Monday night in that particular league. Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Baltimore. 43.5 rushing yards. More, there's a less option, but I'm going more.
More, yes.
Lamar Jackson definitely gets more. Derrick Henry, rushing more than 86.5 or less than. I'm actually going to go.
You going to go less?
I'm going to go less.
Yeah. Seems like a safe bet.
Feels like this is going to be that game where they go less. So if we hit more on the first player projection of Lamar Jackson, more than 43.5 rushing yards, and Derrick Henry less than 86.5 rushing yards, we're a winner. You can be a winner too. Download the app today. That's Prize Picks. Use code WJOX to get the $50 in lineups after you play that first $5. Prize Picks. It is good to be right.
So over the weekend, the University of North Carolina lost to Central. That's what Bill Belichick called Central Florida. Central. Did you see the viral clip of his girlfriend getting money from her sugar daddy? See that?
Well, she needed some chicken tenders and a souvenir cup, Pat.
I guess so. Literally standing on the field, him reaching in his pocket and giving her cash.
They have dipping dots.
Please.
Okay.
I don't know many places in America that takes cash anymore.
It's a good point.
Tennessee, if you're going to play the lottery.
But the reason I bring up Bill Belichick, because it's kind of been a rough start in Chapel Hill. Through 4 games, North Carolina's offense ranks 132nd in college football, 263 yards a game. They're tied for 121st in passing offense. They're 113th in rushing offense, 124th in first downs, 106th in third down conversion rate at 34.7%. And they're number 119 in passing yards per completion at 9.68. And if you also saw him get into it with Max Johnson on the sidelines, you see that, Conrad?
I did not.
Yeah.
Was it like Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, or was it worse than that? Because that was an ugly, I think that broke the hearts of a lot of Americans last night watching Andy Reid and Travis Kelce almost come to blows.
Well, I think that means that Andy Reid will not be invited to the wedding.
See, maybe Jason would do it. I would have thought Andy Reid would officiate the wedding, potentially.
I think Tay-Tay was at home really ticked off because Andy Reid was picking on her man. That was not bueno.
Only I can lay hands on that guy.
That was not cool. Not at all.
At least they won.
They did win.
And I guess they're with the way that they won, there wasn't a lot of room for conspiracy theories like our favorite New York radio host from last week was insinuating.
No.
Did you see the Taylor cam?
The
What's
fake
the name?
one? That was funny.
That was awesome.
That was good.
What do they do? Like people in the stands that look almost like Taylor Swift or something?
from behind,
Oh, okay.
It looked like it, and then
and then they swung the camera around, and it was Lawrence Taylor smoking a cigar.
Taylor Cam.
That's
It
awesome.
was good. How about Indiana over the weekend, knocking off Illinois 63-10?
Illinois college football playoff.
Fernando Mendoza threw 5 touchdown passes for the second straight week, and he completed his last 17 throws against Illinois secondary. Indiana also rushed for 312 yards against Illinois. Meanwhile, Brett Bielema's outstanding offense, led by former Ole Miss quarterback Altmaier, only gained 161 yards. Wow. Let's hear from Kirk Cignetti, the former Alabama assistant coach.
I felt very confident about this game going in based on what I saw on film. And I thought our defensive line could whip their offensive line, and we did. And then they couldn't stop us. They couldn't match up on the perimeter. And then, we broke their will and just pounded them.
I love it.
Google me.
I love it.
You need to clip that last part and put on the
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what happened. Why sugarcoat it?
that needs to be on there with the length and girth.
Why sugarcoat it?
See, they're not following me.
No, I am.
No,
Oh,
I
you
did.
are?
Yeah, length and
I'm
girth. You put it on the hotkey.
No, he's already got that. I was talking about putting
Oh.
Cignetti.
Yeah, add it.
And we have Tua.
That's really good.
And we have Steve Sarkisian not watching you poop.
Yeah.
Got a great
Yeah,
assortment of
this
clips
has
now.
been a great year, and we're not even halfway through. It's been tremendous.
How do you explain that one away if you're Brett Bielema and you have all these expectations and you're hearing the pats on the back and
What a
yeah,
joke.
you guys, get up there and I got to say now. You go into Bloomington and you get absolutely demoralized.
About like Nebraska getting demoralized
Oh, don't
Saturday.
even bring that one up. I was reluctant in doing it.
Yeah,
I was
it's just-
reluctant in doing it.
It's another one-score loss.
Huskers gave up 286 yards on the ground. What happened to the black shirt defense?
They weren't there.
Apparently
They're
not.
in Tallahassee, Pat.
True, honestly.
Former Bama star Justice Haynes, 149 yards rushing against the Huskers.
That's a day.
You want to talk about Auburn allowed 10 sacks? Nebraska allowed 7
Yep.
on their prized possession, Patrick Mahomes Jr. Wolverines' Bryce Underwood threw for just 105 yards, but he did have that 37-yard touchdown run.
We were so close to making it through the show with you not bringing up Nebraska.
Huskers have now lost 28 games in a row against ranked opponents.
It's rough out here.
Well, you're lucky, Molly. We didn't bring up the Detroit Tigers, so.
Please.
Getting swept.
Yeah, by the Braves. Woo.
And then tonight, the Ravens are going to absolutely just,
Well, we don't know yet.
We're taking some L's right now, guys.
Yeah. I'm calloused.
apparently. All right, when we come back on Three Man Front, we'll go to Auburn and hear from Hugh Freeze. That's next. We're waiting Coach Hugh Freeze at the podium down at Auburn, Alabama. We will go live to Auburn momentarily. You know, water is your home's worst enemy, and it doesn't need an invitation. It can find its way into your crawl space, bringing mold, pests, wood rot. But Alabama Professional Services, or APS, they have the solution for you. Their crawl space encapsulation system, it seals out the moisture, blocks the pests, and can even help reduce your energy costs. This just isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The engineers at APS, they're going to come to your house, and they're going to design a custom system specifically for your home and issues. So don't let crawl space problems get worse. Call APS today at 205-951-9717 or visit alabamaprofessional.com. That's 205-951-9717. So many storylines that we've been following this afternoon. The big one that happened about an hour ago, Bruce Pearl is expected to step down as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. His son, Steven, is expected to be the next head coach for the upcoming season. He's been the head coach at Auburn for 11 seasons, leading the Tigers to 6 NCAA tournament appearances and, of course, 2 Final Fours. He had 246 wins as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. That is an Auburn record.
And just a couple of minutes ago, if you go and visit the Auburn basketball Twitter account, they have posted a 14-minute long video of Bruce Pearl sitting at a desk addressing the information. And it's just titled, "Dear Auburn Family, I Truly Love You." And it's a 14-minute video from Bruce Pearl.
Okay, so it is official. Bruce Pearl is stepping down as the head basketball coach of the Auburn Tigers. Also spent a lot of time talking about Auburn's football loss to the Oklahoma Sooners 24-17, including the controversial 4 or 5 calls in that football game, including the hideout tactic, the touchdown by Oklahoma, that was later admitted by the SEC office that it was improperly not called. So that has gotten the rise out of a lot of folks
Just
today.
for the people that have said, oh, there's bad officiating in every game or missed calls, just put into perspective what Pat just said. The 4 or 5 controversial calls.
Yeah, it wasn't just one. It was multiple.
On top of the missed holdings that you get or offside or that guy got started a little bit early in every single game.
Yeah. Well, and listen, our poll question today asked the question, which single play stood out as one of the worst officiating blunders of the Auburn-Oklahoma game? And we gave you 4. It was the Centania catch that was overruled, the missed defensive pass interference on a double pass that there was no pass interference against Cam Coleman, who was trying to go up to catch the ball, an OU hideout tactic on the touchdown, or a reversed AU scoop and score. So as of right now, obviously the hideout tactic touchdown by Oklahoma, that has garnered the most votes on our Twitter poll question at 42%, followed then by the scoop and score being reversed, and then the missed DPI, followed then by the catch overturn later in the game.
And you still had opportunities, whether it was the field goal drive where you had Alex Gibbs come in and miss the 50-yard field goal from the left hash, but prior to that, you had a beautiful double move by Cam Coleman. Had his guy beat by 5 steps, and Jackson Arnold do it too long. But maybe that play comes up again, and I'm sure it will probably happen during the course of the season. Jackson Arnold, he just strikes me as a guy that will take this one to heart, will not wear it on his shoulders for the next game. And I thought for as many bad things as you can point out, whether it's the offensive line or Jackson Arnold holding the ball too long or missing on the throw that I just mentioned to Cam Coleman, if there's anything you can take away, it looked like Jackson Arnold is a gamer. He's going to put it all out on the line, and he strikes me as someone who is going to go in and do his best to correct it so it doesn't happen again. That's just what I'm reading from Jackson Arnold. He might come out and stink it up in College Station, but I don't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an Auburn fan, I don't think you walk away from that game on Saturday and go or think less necessarily of your football team. I think a lot of it, too, can come down to, wow, we went on the road in a tough environment and look at everything that had to go Oklahoma's way for them to win that game. If anything, if you're an Oklahoma fan, I don't know if you feel particularly confident about how you won that football game. Now, yes, Auburn fans, you're still going to be frustrated about that, but I
don't think you feel as good about your offense as you did prior to
No.
going into that.
No, you feel great about the defensive line, but other than that, you couldn't run the football. John Mateer was pretty good, but not amazing. There's certainly a lot of things for you to shore up if you're Oklahoma. I also think, going back to the officiating for a second, and you can tell me if you think this is true or not, Landrum, but I think a lot of it is obviously, the deception play on the touchdown that's going to rub people the wrong way. But I think it's the fact that you had the scoop and score and the catch on the final drive that led to the Mateer touchdown run, where those two plays that were overturned, you felt like there was maybe some hypocrisy from the officiating crew in terms of, well, why are you not calling those plays the same way? Oh, because both of them happened to benefit Oklahoma. And I think that maybe is what really upset people, is not only did you feel like you got robbed on a couple plays, but that they were calling it specifically in favor of Oklahoma and contradicting themselves on a play at the beginning and end of the game.
And looking forward, if that Oklahoma team is as good offensively as advertised, and they weren't bad by any means, but if they're that good, that makes you feel even better about your defense and what DJ Durkin is doing with those guys now that they have 4 games of tape. They'll have another great opportunity against a very talented quarterback and dangerous receiver they're going to face this weekend in Marcel Reed and also in Mario Craver. But the way I looked at it, and this changes from week to week, right? Our picture and our snapshot and how we perceive these teams is that Auburn can beat anyone else that's on their schedule.
Okay, tell me if you agree with this sentiment, because going into the Oklahoma game, we knew what the schedule was going to be: Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia. Of those 3 games, that Oklahoma game was the one I felt the least confident in Auburn winning.
Same.
So
this doesn't change my outlook for Auburn. I think Auburn still baseline can be an 8-4 team. That's going 4-4 in conference play. But for things to all go right, they definitely have to have one of these 3, now one of these 2, whether it's Texas A&M this weekend or in a couple of weeks when they host the Georgia Bulldogs.
I think that Georgia game is really interesting. Being at home, I think you feel like, and obviously, right, if Georgia goes out there and whoops up on Alabama this weekend, you're probably not going to feel great about that matchup. But I think right now, again, just getting that game at home in Jordan-Hare, you feel like this is a different team and you have the home field advantage. I think you probably feel pretty good about that one.
So we're getting word out of Auburn that the Hugh Freeze press conference has been pushed back an hour. So we will be unable to air this during our program. And it makes perfect sense because Auburn officially just sent out the Bruce Pearl announcement, including a statement from Bruce Pearl, which coincides with the video that Auburn basketball has tweeted out. So it makes perfect sense why Auburn is pushing the Hugh Freeze press conference back.
Well, everybody that would be covering that is now covering the
Correct.
Bruce Pearl story.
Correct. So Bruce Pearl has officially retired as the head basketball coach at Auburn University. Hugh Freeze will talk to the media at 2:30. So obviously we'll have more details on whatever Hugh Freeze has to say on the 3-Man Front social media pages throughout the afternoon. When we come back, we'll do some Pat Ponders on this Monday, wrap things up on a very, very busy Monday on 3-Man Front. It is 1:45. Welcome back to Three Man Front on this Reaction Monday. We'll be live at Social Taco beginning at 10 o'clock. Doors open up at 11. Hope to see you. Last 2 weeks, we have had record attendance for lunch. So if you're planning on coming by and grabbing a seat and grabbing a bite to eat, if you want to join us on the Taco Terrace, I would recommend you get there as early as possible because those seats fill up fast. So we appreciate everyone at Social Taco for having us out every Tuesday. Hope to see you starting tomorrow. Doors open up at 11 o'clock. Well, let's get the week started with a little Pat Ponders brought to you by Courtesy GMC.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful, 9 acres of inventory. How about the 7-year warranty, 100,000-mile warranty right there at Courtesy GMC? Get by and see them on a brand new GMC. All right, question number 1. Now that you watched John Mateer for an extended period of time on Saturday, is he hands down the top offensive player in the SEC?
No. He's really good, and I couldn't tell you who is the top offensive player, but I'm not ready to cast my vote for John Mateer just yet.
Did you see what Arch Manning did against Sam Houston, guys? Come on. No, in all seriousness, no, he's not by far and away. I think he's in the conversation maybe as the best this year, and he's a really good player, but no, he's not.
Let's see him
hands down
play
the
some more
best.
defenses.
Correct.
Yeah, not yet.
So
But he's up there.
Who would be up there for y'all if it's not Mateer?
Right now, I would put, believe it or not, Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah.
Any
After-
offensive player?
Yeah.
Ahmad Hardy.
Oh, I was gonna say
Ahmad Hardy's been good.
Yeah.
He's insane.
Craver's been good. You mentioned him.
Craver's been excellent.
You
Yeah.
have 200 yards against Notre Dame. That's not bad. And he's put up big yardage in every game.
Question number 2. So what should be the penalty, if anything, for the officiating crew of the Oklahoma-Auburn game?
At least a 1-game suspension. If not, you guys are done for the season. Let's go over this rule.
Yeah, 1-game suspension, I would say, and then no postseason. See, I would say no postseason game for them, but I also don't know how that works, like from a numbers standpoint, if they would have to do a bowl game because they just don't have enough officials, but certainly not a meaningful big-time playoff game. So, yeah, 1-game suspension, no conference championship game, no playoff games.
Maybe a 1-game suspension, and then they can no longer call SEC games. Maybe like other conferences, just not the SEC.
Okay. All right, it's just 1 game, but did your ceiling for Auburn in the SEC change after that loss?
No, it did not.
Where did you have Auburn voted in your preseason?
I think I had them they were at least 8th, maybe 7th.
No, I mean, I still think that they can be a 9-3 football team. And I mean, me and Landry was talking about it. I think going into this 3-game stretch, the Oklahoma game was the one I was the least confident in Auburn winning. So, yeah, no, I still think 9-3 is certainly attainable for them.
I agree. Nothing's changed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you vote? So you had them, you said 7th or 8th?
Mm-hmm.
I had them 9th. Do you remember where you had them, Molly?
I think I had them 9. We all had them between like
7 and
10.
10, yeah. Somewhere in the middle of the
My
pack.
thinking was 8-4, 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I feel better. I might lean more towards 9-3 than 8-4, just after seeing the actual product. Like they're a solid team.
But how much will that change if they lose this weekend?
Well, then we're having a different conversation.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's different.
Yeah.
Next question. Sam Pittman or Billy Napier? Who coaches the most regular season games this year at their school?
Sam Pittman. I think Billy Napier is on the fast track to get Dan Mullen.
Yeah, I think they would be more likely to let Sam Pittman coach out the year. And here, I know there's a lot of things that go into these games, and you never can just single out one player for what happened. It's not Sam Pittman's fault that Arkansas is not 4-0 right now. I mean, you've had back-to-back, just the most bone-crushing fumbles on the final drive in the final minutes of a game that you were clearly driving down the field and looked like you had the momentum to go in and take the lead. So I hope that the administration recognizes that and lets him continue to coach because he's doing a good job.
By the way, UAB, former UAB Blazer Chris Bracey with the strip and the recovery of that fumble for Memphis.
There you go. That was it was a fantastic play. It's unfortunate that happened twice in a row to Arkansas.
What was the question again? Who coaches longer?
How many regular season games? Who coached longer in the regular season this year?
I think Pittman will, and I know we've talked about it a ton, but Florida's schedule is just brutal again. Obviously, it's a flip-flop from last year, but there's no way.
I know they're important for both schools, but maybe timing is more of the essence for Florida and who they're potentially targeting as opposed to maybe the candidate pool that you're going to have there in Fayetteville.
Will Billy Napier be the coach of Florida when they play Georgia on November 1st? Because between now and then you have Texas, A&M, and Mississippi State.
No. I think the loss to State's going to do it.
Ooh. Okay.
Wow.
So you think they lose the next 3 in a row? They're 1-6.
I do.
If they're 1-6, he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
It's interesting talking about Sam Pittman. When they wear that white combination headgear, jersey, and pants, they're 3-11. Don't know why they're still wearing it.
Yeah.
It's a good look, but
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that.
You definitely stop wearing it.
Here's another problem for Pittman. So Trey Biddy, who's the publisher of Hog Sports, this is what he posted right after the game. He said, "This is a really bad loss for Sam Pittman. This is not the kind of game you can lose. This loss wasn't about finances or personnel. This is about not showing up. It's about a culture issue," end of quote.
3 points in the second half is tough to stomach
And
against Memphis.
And
Yeah,
the
fair.
18-point lead that they blew is the most of any FBS team this season. And you lost to a group of 5. But when you see someone write it's a culture issue,
Yeah, that's a red
That's
flag.
alarming.
and they're already making excuses saying that they had 49 new players on the roster and they just haven't, melded together, well, that's the transfer portal now. When you're winning, it looks great. When you're losing, it's a problem because the guys don't get along.
But Taylon Green is a top 5 SEC quarterback. 18 of 34, 325 yards. That's nice. 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he was not at his best, but that's what we talked about coming into the year, right? Is you get really, really good Taylon Green, and sometimes you get really not so good Taylon Green, and that's his problem.
Arkansas gave up 290 yards rushing to Memphis.
It's a problem.
2 100-yard rushers, Sutton Smith and Brendan Lewis.
All right, final question of the day. The Tampa Bay Bucks are now one of 6 teams that are undefeated in the National Football League. Where does Baker Mayfield rank among the top quarterbacks in the NFL?
He's probably in the top 10 now. Now, granted, he's like 8, 9, or 10, but I'd say he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
I'd have him in the top 10 too.
I mean, he's been
Closer to 10?
spectacular. I think I brought up the stat. Maybe it was last Monday after they won. Baker Mayfield, and maybe it's changed now since this past weekend, but he has, since joining the Buccaneers a little over 2 years ago, he has the most touchdown passes of any quarterback in the NFL. That's a remarkable stat.
Watching quarterback in that whatever docuseries or
Yeah, the Netflix. Yeah.
New appreciation for Baker Mayfield. Just as a person, kind of how he carries himself. He's gotten a lot of flack.
You can just tell he's the kind of guy that's had a chip on his shoulder
Yeah.
for the majority of his life. And I think now that maybe he's gotten rid of some of the arrogance that he had at Oklahoma, he's a very easy guy to root for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's certainly he'd be in the top 10 for me. He's
For a
great.
guy that seemed like he was constantly getting pooed on, it's good to see a guy like that have success. And
Where do you have Baker
Look
right
what
now,
he's doing.
Molly?
Right now?
Yeah.
I have him in like the top 5, maybe.
Top 5?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. He's playing very well.
Ahead of Jared Goff or after Jared Goff?
Don't even.
ahead of Jared Goff
Jared Goff's good. That was a serious question.
after tonight.
Yeah, we'll see how tonight goes.
Yeah.
All right, that's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful, courtesybirmingham.com.
We do have Monday Night Football tonight, live from Social Taco tomorrow. We've got a lot to talk about, more fallout, more reaction to Bruce Pearl, the announcement of the Auburn basketball coach retiring. We look ahead to this weekend, Auburn at Texas A&M, and the big one in Athens, Alabama taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. From all of us, we appreciate your interaction each and every day. You make it happen. Remember, God is great. Enjoy the rest of this Monday afternoon.